Welcome, everyone. I just wish, please, to crave your indulgence and invite the following distinguished guests and speakers to the podium to take their seats. We need the envoy of the Secretary General for South-South Cooperation and Director of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, Mr. Jorge Chediek, here. We need Your Excellency, Mr. Richard Nduhura, President of the General Assembly High-Level Committee on South-South Cooperation and Permanent Representative of Uganda to the United Nations, Dr. Meshgan Al-Awa, Secretary General of the Zayed International Foundation. Please, we need you up here. Mr. Yasushi Kanzaki Konichiwa, please, we need you from JICA. Your Excellency, Mr. Ramil Hassanov, Secretary General, Turkic Council, Mr. Getachew Ngida, Deputy Director General, UNESCO. Thank you very much. And please, if you are not already seated, may I kindly call on you to have your seats so we can have. Please take your seats, Excellencies. Excellencies, distinguished directors general, dignitaries, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Sabah al-Khair, I think that is the right Arabic greeting, or bonjour to those who want to speak French. My name is Ben Dotse Malo, just briefly introducing this high-level forum of directors general for Development Cooperation. This meeting is hosted by the Zayed International Foundation for the Environment and co-organized by the UN Office for South-South Cooperation and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The theme, if I just need to remind all of us, is strengthening policy and management for the implementation of South-South and triangular cooperation towards the attainment of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I think the key words I'm hearing there, strengthening and also policy, as well as management, but most importantly, implementation. This year's high-level forum is linked directly to our main theme for this GSSD Expo. We have here today national policymakers and other key partners, including representatives from the entire United Nations system. What is the objective? We want to provide this unique platform where all the participants can share successful experiences and showcase the best practices, promote innovative approaches to policy, strategy, institutional and financial arrangements, and also exploit partnership opportunities. There are case studies that will be given here today, and they will be presented and as well as submitted during the pre-forum process. And participants at this high-level Directors General Forum will discuss the initiatives and have strategic networking opportunities through bilateral meetings with potential partners facilitated by the Secretariat. We are looking for real matchmaking and partnership building. After this forum, we hope that the initiatives that are selected will continue to be shared among the participants of this DG forum, helping to build the capacities for design, management, and implementation of South-South and triangular cooperation. Before we continue, let me just give a roadmap of the day from this moment till 4 p.m. Our proceedings from now till 4 p.m. are organized in 6 segments. Segment number 1, which is now, is the opening portion, followed by sessions 1 and 2. And then from 12:30 to 2 p.m., there will be a working lunch in this hall here. There will be food provided outside. You pick up your lunches, and you come here, and we will continue over lunch. Then at 3:30, we will have the closing remarks for this high-level DG forum. Please take note that some of the presenters will be speaking in the official languages and other languages, so if you haven't yet done so, kindly make sure that you have one of the translation headsets. You are going to need them along the way. Now, I must get out of the way and have the honor of inviting to the podium the Secretary General Special Envoy for South-South Cooperation and Director of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation, Senor Jorge Chediek.
Thank you, Mr. Bolar. Your Excellency, Ambassador Richard Duhura, President of the United Nations General Assembly High-Level Committee on South-South Cooperation and Permanent Representative of Uganda to the United Nations. Mr. Yasushi Kanzaki, Vice President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency. His Excellency Mr. Ramil Hassanov, Secretary General of the Turkey Council. Mr. Getachew Enguida, Deputy Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. Your Excellencies, colleagues, friends. Welcome to all of you here, particularly those of you who travel long distances to participate in this high-level forum on strengthening policy and management for the implementation of South-South and triangular cooperation towards the attainment of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I would like to express my deep appreciation to our co-organizer, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, for their commitment and support to this forum for the 8th year running. I would also like to recognize the government of Japan that we credit with conceiving of and investing in the innovative concept of triangular cooperation many decades ago. Also, I would like to thank the government of the United Arab Emirates through its Sayed International Foundation for the Environment for hosting the 2016 Global South-South Development Expo and this high-level forum. In 1978 in Buenos Aires and again in Nairobi in 2009, the countries of the world committed to making South-South and triangular cooperation central modalities towards building sustained economic growth and sustainable development. Member states also committed to strengthen their own national South-South cooperation management and coordination mechanisms to share best practices among South-South cooperation authorities, enable mutual learning and mutual capacity development for innovative and inclusive partnership. More recently, member states have emphasized the role of South-South cooperation in the context of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, the Addis Ababa Action Agenda of the Third International Conference for Financing for Development, and the Paris Agreement of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which comes into effect tomorrow. South-South and triangular cooperation continue to play an increasingly important and widening role in international affairs. Investments in this type of cooperation underpin rapid economic growth that has improved the human condition in developing countries in recent decades. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as the Secretariat of the 2016 South-South Development Expo and co-organizer of this high-level forum, we are honored to continue facilitating your dialogue at this annual event for the purposes of mutual learning, partnership building, and scaling up. My office will compile the results of this forum in a report which will be distributed as an important reference for the development community. And in addition, we will continue the process of working together with many development agencies of the South and the North to strengthen the capacity and to expand the scope of South-South and triangular cooperation. We wish you success in your deliberations, and we look forward to hearing from you how our office can best support your individual and collective efforts to expand South-South cooperation so it can live to its full potential in building a better world. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Mr. Jorge Chediek, Director of the UN Office for South-South Cooperation. Now my pleasure to call to the podium His Excellency Dr. Richard Nduhura, President of the UN General Assembly High-Level Committee on South-South Cooperation. He's also Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Uganda to the United Nations. Your Excellency.
Mr. Jorge Chediek, Envoy of the Secretary General on South-to-South Cooperation and Director of the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, Dr. Meshgan Alawa, Secretary General Zayed International Foundation for the Environment, Mr. Yasushi Kanzaki, Vice President of JICA, His Excellency Mr. Ramir Hassanov, Secretary General of Turkey Council, Mr. Jetashu Engida, Deputy Director General of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very pleased to join you today at the high-level forum of Directors General for Development Cooperation, organized under the theme, Strengthening Policy and Management for the Implementation of South-to-South and Triangular Cooperation towards the attainment of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. I would like to thank the Japan International Cooperation Agency and the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation for co-organizing this forum and its predecessors over the years. My heartfelt thanks also go to our host, the Zayed Foundation and the government of the United Arab Emirates for welcoming us to their magnificent country and these excellent premises. The member states of the United Nations came together and defined the Sustainable Development Goals and the subsequent 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. For those of us gathered here, there is a pertinent question that we need to ask. As we head towards implementation and localization of the agenda in each region, sub-region, and country, we note that the geography and nature of development cooperation is changing. The world is now characterized by a stronger presence of South-to-South and triangular cooperation in development cooperation. We therefore need to ask how South-to-South cooperation and triangular cooperation can play a role in helping people, countries, and our global home meet development challenges. This question is even more pertinent for the countries that are lagging behind, for communities that are disadvantaged and vulnerable to economic shocks and natural disasters. We are not the first to ask that question. However, it is important for this meeting to start deliberating on the roles that these modalities for development assistance can play and what the DG Forum can contribute towards this endeavor. If these modalities should help us to reach the full potential of South-to-South and triangular cooperation, we must resolve some of the issues that may stand in the way. These include strengthening policies and frameworks under which South-to-South and triangular cooperation operates. Building the capacities of the development cooperation institutions that lead South-to-South and triangular cooperation, and facilitating extensive tools such as regional funds and methodology for enhancing South-to-South and triangular cooperation. What is pleasing is that we do not have to start from the bottom of the barrel and climb up. A number of countries and intergovernmental institutions have already started testing and documenting their experiences in strengthening the management of South-to-South and triangular cooperation. We will be pleased to hear from them today. Lastly, as many of you recall, the DG Forum in 2008 recommended a project to strengthen capacities for management of South-to-South and triangular cooperation. This project has been implemented from the year 2012 and conducted training and follow-up events based on the demands of the trainees. We have therefore had a demand-led experience, born in this forum and functioning under a demand-driven approach. I would like to express my appreciation to the government of Japan and JICA, the Brazil Cooperation Agency, and the UN Office for South-South Cooperation that responded positively to the forum's requests. Other countries like Mexico have also convened meetings to share their own experiences in follow-up events requested by trainees. I would like to invite more countries to do likewise. I also understand that there is a pipeline of issues and countries that are requesting these services. I am hoping, therefore, that this meeting will recommend a new phase of the capacity building program as the 2008 forum did. The new phase would help member states share their experiences and UN agencies to be effective partners. I hope that in the DG Forum, we can recommend strategies that the United Nations system can play in supporting, strengthening, and enhancing the capacity of developing countries to engage in South-South cooperation and how to pool resources for this work. Friends, South-to-South and triangular cooperation are critical to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. My predecessor in this forum in 2014 asked the questions. 1, what should be the role of South-South and triangular cooperation in advancing the post-2015 development agenda? 2, how could South-to-South and triangular cooperation initiatives be scaled up? And 3, how could South-South cooperation help shape the post-2015 global partnerships for sustainable development? After 2 years of thinking and deliberating, I dare say some among us have answers, or at least partial answers. Let us strengthen our hand in sharing these experiences, and where called upon, undertake further research to strengthen the conceptual underpinnings of South-to-South and triangular cooperation. I would like once again to commend the UN Office for South-South Cooperation for organizing this very important forum. We are also greatly indebted to all the Directors General and other participants who have traveled here to share their successful experiences in South-to-South and triangular cooperation. I wish you very fruitful deliberations.
We thank you very much, Excellency Richard Nduhura, President of the UN General Assembly High-Level Committee on South-South Cooperation. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, my pleasure now to invite Mr. Yasushi Kanzaki, He's the Vice President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. Mr. Kanzaki.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to have this opportunity to make opening remarks on behalf of JICA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, at this high-level forum of Directors General for Development Cooperation 2016, the first high-level forum since the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development was adopted. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the government of United Emirates and the Zayed International Foundation for the Environment for kindly hosting the South-South Development Expo that includes this high-level forum. I'm also most grateful to our co-organizer, the United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, here represented by Mr. Jorge Chedwick, Director and Envoy of the Secretary General on South-South Cooperation, for their great contribution to the forum. The adoption of the Agenda 2030 gives us opportunity to renew its values, potential, and important roles of the South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation to address various development challenges we face. The realization of the world leave no one behind requires global partnership, mobilizing resources and expertise at the country, regional, and global levels to address the broad social, economic, and environmental issues. A recent publication by the UNOSSC, Good Practices in South-South and Triangular Cooperation for Sustainable Development, testifies that the mode of cooperation can contribute directly to the attainment of each goal of the SDGs. In addition, I believe that the South-South and Triangular Cooperation have indispensable roles to support development partners to implement the goals in the following three ways. First, it encourages knowledge sharing and creating a space for mutual learning and joint solution discovery. The South has accumulated valuable experiences in overcoming difficulties and constraints, and it can develop and provide effective development solutions that are relevant to other countries. Second, it facilitates the mobilization of resources and expertise from around the world to address common challenges. The SDGs requires regional and global approaches as many challenges go beyond national borders. Under such situations, the SDGs emphasizes global partnership involving both the North and the South, as well as multi-stakeholders such as the private sector, academia, and the civil societies. Third, through a series of activities, it contributes to the development of mutual trust and understanding among relevant countries, a foundation of global partnership and peace. In order to facilitate such developments, JICA attaches importance on the following three factors in our triangular cooperation. First, it is important to formulate institutional arrangements that enable effective knowledge creation or sharing. Second, long-term capacity development is needed, not only for beneficial countries, but for pivotal countries. Third, in order to create effective knowledge sharing among the South and then produce development impact through it, the North has vital roles to play. Japan concluded a partnership program with 12 key triangular cooperation partners to offer a platform for systematic joint programming and implementation. It includes a mechanism for matching supply and demand, establishment of centers of excellence that have developed prominent solutions, and delivery methods to assist other countries. It also serves to share our experience in management of cooperation with the partners. Through the program, for instance, JICA partners with Mexico, Chile, and Indonesia for development of capacity in policy making, project management, and knowledge management. JICA also organized a workshop on management of the triangular cooperation in collaboration with the UNOSSC and Brazilian Cooperation Agency. In a pursuit of achievement of the SDGs, transformative approaches are needed, which would have regional and global impacts by mobilizing resources from various actors. I believe that the South-South and triangular cooperation can contribute further more to this end. The high-level forum today highlights the need for capacity development related to policymaking and management in the context of the South-South and triangular cooperation. This is a timely and well-deserved topic which is critical to attain the SDGs. I sincerely hope that this forum will showcase best practices and lessons learned in these topics and make new milestones of international efforts for promoting better South-South and triangular cooperation. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate Japan's commitment to continue our efforts to tackle development challenges with our partners through the triangular cooperation to attain the SDGs. Thank you for attention.
Arigato. Thank you very much, Mr. Yasushi Kanzaki, Vice President of the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, now my pleasure to call on the Secretary General of the Zayed International Foundation for the Environment. They've been hosting us all this time that we've been here in Dubai, Dr. Meshgan Alawa. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I would like to just have a few words in Arabic today in welcoming my last of almost remarks for the opening of the previous solution forums and today's session for the Director Generals. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أصحاب المعالي، أصحاب السعادة، الإخوة العلماء والخبراء الأجلاء، الضيوف الكرام. إنه لمن دواعي سروري أن أرحب بكم في هذه الجلسة الختامية في يوم الختام لفعاليات المنتدى والمعرض العالمي للتعاون فيما بين بلدان الجنوب إكسبو 2016، والذي تستضيفه دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة ومستضيفة نيابة عن الدولة تستضيف مؤسسة زايد الدولية للبيئة تحت شعار طبعاً التعاون فيما بلدان الجنوب، الابتكار لتحقيق التنمية المستدامة لعام 2030. إن هذه الدورة الثامنة هي المرة الأولى التي تكون في ضيافة دولة من دولة عضوة في الأمم المتحدة، وهي دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة، وهذا بالإضافة طبعاً مما جاءت ووجدته الأمم المتحدة من دولة الإمارات العربية من ترحاب وحسن ضيافة وتنظيم وتسهيلات في دولة الإمارات، بالإضافة إلى علاقات الإمارات ومبادرات التي لا تحصى للتعاون والتكامل بين بلدان الجنوب. إن مؤسسة زايد الدولية للبيئة قد استضافت ونظمت الكثير من الفعاليات تخدم دول الجنوب سابقاً، مثل مهرجان صحاري العالم، المؤتمر العالمي للتصحر، وكثير من الفائزين في دوراتها السابقة كانوا من دول الجنوب. أيها الحفل الكريم، إن مؤسسة زايد الدولية للبيئة تدعو دول الجنوب اليوم وفي ورش العمل السابقة للخروج بوثيقة أو مخرجات تخص دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة فيما بين بلدان الجنوب من أجل تنمية وأنماط حياة مستدامة مع تأكيد الشراكة الثلاثية مع الدول المانحة التي التزمت في اتفاقيات الأمم المتحدة بدعم دول الجنوب. Going back to the English, I just wanted to greet you with some Arabic words, and now we are going back to English. I have made several speeches during the course of the Global South-South Development Expo. However, I realized that I may be addressing some of you for the first time, as you may have come exclusively for the Director General's Forum. On behalf of the government of United Arab Emirates and the Zayed International Foundation for the Environment, I heartily welcome you to Dubai. I hope you enjoyed whatever time you have left to spend here in Dubai or any other Emirates in the United Arab Emirates. During the past few days, we have discussed the importance of new and old partnerships to help us achieve sustainable development goals. I would like to emphasize that no matter what the partnerships are, the reality is that the government in each country plays a critical role in pooling together the collective efforts of its citizens, regardless of whether they are in communities, civil society, or the private sector. Building bridges, connecting the dots for such local partnerships may not always be as easy as we assume. I am pleased that this forum will review and discuss such issues as strengthening of coordinating institutions for South-South and triangular cooperation with a view to make them fit for the purpose to lead development cooperation. The DG Forum will afford and provide government representatives an opportunity to exchange ideas and knowledge among each other and the partners that they have to engage in each country. I hope that out of these deliberations, we will have some bankable proposals that will help to strengthen the management and implementation of South-South and triangular cooperation. I would like to conclude by stating that discussions have also clearly showed that South-South cooperation and triangular cooperation are at the center of strategies to achieve the sustainable development goals. And I hope that coordinating government departments continue to get capacity building to enable them to lead this effort in each country towards our cherished objective of leaving nobody behind. I thank the UN Office for South-South Cooperation and the Japan International Cooperation Agency for supporting this important forum. And all our good wishes and hopes are with you for the success of the deliberations of today, and looking forward to the final outcome, which will be in the closing session today. Thank you.
Shukran Jazilan. Dr. Meshgan Alawa, Secretary General of the Zayed International Foundation for the Environment. Let's give her a round of applause once again for hosting us wonderfully throughout the past few days. Thank you, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker is His Excellency Mr. Ramil Hassanov, Secretary General of the Turkic Council. Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning for everyone, Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear participants. Allow me, most notably, I'd like to extend my deeply gratitude for organizer, especially United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, and of course, Japanese International Cooperation Agency for co-organizing such as important events, and of course, Zayed International Foundation for the Environment for hosting this important, significant forum. Ladies and gentlemen, the nature of global challenge that we face today have become more complex, interdependent, and transboundary. These challenges include serious from extreme poverty, food crisis and financial crisis, climate change, environment challenge, scarcity of water and natural resource, irregular migration to increased violent extremism. To facing these hurdles, we need to enhance, to strengthen our cooperation within the international community for more than ever, because the global challenges require collective response and obligation. Therefore, as a 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development goal has recognized, we must address the challenge collectively. In this regard, South-South and triangular cooperation serves as a key instrument that is complementary to the other traditional cooperation schemes worldwide. This cooperation framework has a special spirit. It's a more dynamic, practical, and result-oriented on the equal footing of all actors all over the world who are involved and for the benefit of all stakeholders concerned. As a Cooperation Council of Turkic-speaking states, as a short-lived Turkic Council, since our establishment in 2009, we attribute utmost importance to enhancing of South-South and triangular cooperation that is an important element of international collaboration for development. Thus, our member states, named Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and of course the Turkey Republic, individually contribute to strengthening this cooperation. Meanwhile, the firmly support activities carried out by the Turkey Council in this direction. By the way, we are so delighted that we launched it all together with United Nations Office for South-South Cooperation, concrete steps, and altogether cooperation, closer cooperation. And a couple of months ago, we signed memorandum of understanding and officially proclaimed that we are ready and we witness closer cooperation and we stand closer cooperation for development and for reduce poverty. Another country which do need to aid and anything. While doing so, we locate a human and productive capacity building, experience sharing, technical assistance, and exchange of good practice as a core of our working mechanism. Because we believe that investment in people and knowledge is the most valuable measure to be taken for the brighter future. So if we put investment in the people, in the human, then is indicator that we put invest for future for our next generation. Therefore, we are of the view that capacity of development is vital for any development fields. This concrete example to the end culminate in our efforts for enhancing cooperation in the field of tourism among our member states and in the region. Since December 2030, as an initiative of Turkey Council, the Minister of Cultural Tourism of Turkey has shared its vast experience to service sector through the vocational training programs that is carried out for the tourism employees of Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. Through these programs, Turkey's rich know-how and experience in the tourism sector have been transferred to other member states. Till now, more than 900 tourism employers benefit from this vocational training. Almost 50% of these trainings were female. These trainings were instrumental in the development skill for highly quality hospitality service in this country through experience sharing. They also contribute to generate decent jobs in our member states, addressing to the number of the CDG on the good jobs and economic growth. Let me proudly express that we will continue to materialize this training and similar one of these topics within our agenda in a cooperation with our regional and international partners in the period ahead. Just as the international conference that we co-host with the United Nations Alliance of Civilization on 21 October 2016 in Istanbul on the role of youth in preventing and countering violent extremism, the importance of capacity building on the practical area was also strongly mentioned. United Nations Office South-South Cooperation and United Nations Development Program were among the partners of the conference that was attended more than 300 participants and speakers coming from 40 countries from Africa, Central Asia, and Europe. Let me share with you that as a concrete outcome of the conference, we will launch soon a trainers program to empower youth in preventing and countering violent extremism with the involvement of our member states, partner countries, and the relevant international organizations. Distinguished guests, being a responsible international actor, as a Turkey consul also prioritizes the values of South-South as triangular approach while working hand in hand with the regional and international partners to firmly support the sustainable development. While collaboration with these organizations, the Council keeps in mind an important question. The question is how and with which tool in our toolbox we can serve the benefits of the Global South. In this regard, in the Memorandum of Understanding that we signed with United Nations Office of South-South Cooperation, United Nations Development Programme, United Nations World Tourism Organizations, and the last one, United Nations Alliance of Civilization, once again, we reiterate our commitment to walk together, act together, go together for successful future, and implementation of South-South and triangular approach. On this occasion, let me thank especially Mr. George Chedick, my dear friends, and his team for their continuous cooperation with the Turkey Council to further enforce the penetration of this approach in our region and beyond. As a conclusion, we are committed to implement our Memorandum of Understanding with United Nations Office South-South Cooperation and with other relevant United Nations affiliated and related bodies through mutual benefit projects to this end as the earliest convenience. We are committed to further expand South-South and triangle approach in our member states and partner countries with result-oriented actions, because we truly believe that actions speak louder than words. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Secretary General of the Turkic Council, Mr. Ramil Hassanov. And our last but not least speaker for this opening part of the day is no other person than the Deputy Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Getachew Ngida.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is a pleasure for me to be here today to welcome you to the 2016 High-Level Forum of Directors General for Development Cooperation. I would like to thank, first of all, the UN Office for South-South Cooperation and the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, for inviting me to participate in this important event. The 2030 Development Agenda calls for new systems thinking, new operating modalities, and new technologies that focus on finding innovative solutions to today's complex problems. With changing dynamics in development cooperation processes, such as a downward trend in total development aid to education, which has declined by some 8% since 2010, new types of innovative South-South and triangular cooperation will be needed if we are to achieve the 2030 Development Agenda. The issue of how to further strengthen the financing of South-South cooperation, as well as the need to improve both qualitative and quantitative measures, is particularly important at a time when we're seeing developed countries growing slower than developing countries, which is impacting traditional aid dynamics. Cost projections in the 2015 Global Monitoring Report show that the annual financing gap was estimated at some $39 billion over 2015-2030 for reaching universal pre-primary, primary, and secondary education of good quality in low and lower middle-income countries. While domestic resource mobilization is becoming more important and achievable for some countries, external support will continue to play an important role in countries where domestic resources fall short. New emerging donors from the Global South will therefore have an important role to play in filling this gap. New types of innovative, multi-stakeholder South-South cooperation partnerships will be needed to mobilize the private sector, philanthropists, multilateral development banks, and other innovative sources of financing to make real progress towards the achievement of Sustainable Development Goals. This is the aim of the SDG 4, Education 2030 Steering Committee, which UNESCO leads, and it is a multi-stakeholder partnership which provides strategic guidance to member states and the education community, makes recommendations for catalytic actions, advocates for adequate financing, and monitor progress through the Global Education Monitoring Report on SDG 4 and related educational targets. Dedicated South-South cooperation partnerships, such as UNESCO's partnership with China to provide targeted support to 8 African countries to enhance teacher education to bridge the education quality gap, form part and parcel of this initiative. An additional $12 million has been leveraged through this partnership to support these efforts. Another example is the Malala Fund for Girls' Right to Education, which focuses on increasing access to education and learning opportunities, improving retention and completion rates, and eliminating discrimination against girls in the learning process. Developing countries recognize that in order to leapfrog onto a sustainable path of development, increased investment will be needed to develop the required knowledge base and human capital. With this aim, UNESCO is working to strengthen national capacities in science, technology, and innovation on a demand-driven basis to meet this challenge. We are supporting the development of STI-enabling environments through our work to develop robust STI policies and systems that aim to meet the rising demand for qualified scientists, engineers, technicians, and to promote sustainable industries and foster innovation. We are engaged in mechanisms such as the Technology Facilitation Mechanism and the Least Developing Countries Technology Bank, which aim to support technology transfer and build STI capacities in developing countries through South-South and triangular cooperation. UNESCO is also working with partners like ITU to fully utilize the power of mobile broadband, the fastest growing technology in human history, to accelerate progress in meeting key education challenges on equity, on inclusion, on access, and on quality. The number of mobile phone subscriptions now, ladies and gentlemen, exceeds the world's total population of around 7 billion. And active mobile broadband subscriptions exceed 2.1 billion, 3 times higher than the 700 million wireline broadband connections worldwide. Even more encouragingly, most of this progress has taken place in the developing world, which has accounted for 90% of the global net additions for mobile, cellular, and 82% of the global net additions of new internet users since early 2010. More South-South and triangular partnerships are needed to increase the educational potential of information and communication technologies, particularly in developing countries where books and schools may be scarce. The innovative use of such technologies can also support efforts to respond to natural disasters. One such example is the gaming application called Tanaha for the prevention of natural disasters. Created by UNESCO in response to the tragedies in the Asia-Pacific region, such as the 2004 earthquake and tsunami in the Indian Ocean, it has now been adopted into Spanish and launched in the Latin American and Caribbean region following the earthquake in Ecuador. Finally, the importance of promoting culture for sustainable development through South-South and triangular cooperation cannot be overlooked. Culture-based sustainable development strategies can contribute to sustainable economic growth, opening up new pathways for job creation and locally owned economic development. Worldwide, some 30 million jobs depend directly on the cultural sectors, most of which are in the cities. I look forward to discussing how we can work together to fully exploit the potential of South-South and triangular cooperation to support the implementation of the SDGs to ensure that no one is left behind on our common quest for a sustainable future. I thank you for your attention. Shukran.
Shukran Jazilan. That was Mr. Getachew Ngida, Deputy Director General of UNESCO. And that brings us actually to the end of this opening part of our day. And I just want to say a big thank you to excellencies here at the podium. I see Dr. Meshgan Alawa raised a finger. I think she wants to make an intervention just before we conclude. Okay.
Just wanted to celebrate again, to just bring to your kind attention that United Arab Emirates today is celebrating the Flag Day of United Arab Emirates. So there are lots of celebrations going around. So we are lucky today that we are having this closing and this marking this Flag Day, so we can return it to history that this happened in the Flag Day while the United Arab Emirates is celebrating it today. Thank you.
Happy Flag Day to Dr. Meshgan Alawa and all the government and people of the United Arab Emirates. Shukran Jazilan. At this point, I would like to call on distinguished excellencies to just take your seats as we prepare swiftly for our very first session. I think I'm going to call on Ms. or Madame Sabina Mganga and the panel for session 1, Mr. Paisan Rupanichki, Ms. Christina Gangan, Ms. Florence Nazare, Ms. Oraya Goni Del Zangles, and Mr. Noel Gonzalez Segura. Please, we need you to come up to the stage so that we can start the next session, which is session number 1, under the theme, Experiences in Policymaking and the Institutional Strengthening for South-South and Triangular Cooperation towards achieving the 2030 Agenda.